Who shot you? The voice was low, edged in command. Her vision swam. She blinked once, twice. The man above her was all dark lines and green-gray eyes that burned under the streetlight. His black coat brushed her face as he crouched beside her, his accent unmistakably Italian. I don't know, she gasped. I was just inside, he ordered. She tried to push him away. Don't touch me. But he ignored that, lifting her as if she weighed nothing. The world tilted again, then blurred into the golden glow of a restaurant's interior. Elegant tables, a stunned hostess frozen mid-step, a dozen diners staring. Lock the doors, he barked. Now! Someone obeyed instantly. Chairs scraped, lights dimmed. The man lowered her onto a leather booth, one hand already pressing against her bleeding shoulder. Pain tore through her and she cried out. I know, he said quietly. I know it hurts. But you stay with me, see? Look at me. She did, because those eyes left her no choice. Her mind flickered. The restaurant's name flashed in gold letters on the glass door she'd just been carried through. Trastevere. The expensive Italian place on West Kinsey she could never afford. The one her delivery app said she'd pick up an order from tonight. The irony almost made her laugh, except she couldn't breathe. Blood soaked through her hoodie. The man's fingers pressed harder, controlled, practiced. Not a stranger to violence, she realized. Ambulance? Someone whispered. No ambulance, he snapped. Marco, my car. Side alley. Move. Boss! Now. Boss. The words sliced through her fog. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. You're safe, do you understand? I won't let you die in my restaurant. Why? She tried, her lips trembling. Why me? Because you were in the wrong place at the wrong damn time, he muttered. And I intend to fix that. Minutes blurred into seconds. A young man, Marco, appeared with a black SUV outside the side door. The man carried Avery again, ignoring her weak protests. The cold Chicago air slapped her face as they stepped into the alley. Inside the car, his hand never left her wound. Keep your eyes open, he said. Tell me your name. Avery. I'm Alessandro. His jaw tightened. Alessandro Vitale. She'd heard the name before. Everyone in the service industry downtown had. A restaurant owner, a businessman. Rumors whispered something darker. Her breath came in short, wet bursts. I didn't do anything. I know. You saved me. She frowned. What? That bullet wasn't meant for you. His tone was flat, deadly certain. It was meant for me. They reached a narrow garage beneath a building, no lights. A door opened before they even stopped. A man in scrubs waited with a medical bag. Silent, efficient. The car barely halted before Alessandro scooped her up again. The clinic smelled like antiseptic and secrets. Gunshot wound. Left shoulder, Alessandro said in rapid Italian. Through and through, I think. The doctor nodded, already cutting fabric, cleaning blood, injecting anesthetic. Avery tried to flinch away. Alessandro's hand closed around hers. Stay still, Piccola. It'll be over soon. Tears slipped from the corners of her eyes, not from fear, but from the raw sting of helplessness. She'd survived hard things before, late rent, debt collectors, broken promises, but never a bullet. You should go, she whispered. You don't even know me. I know enough. Are you? Her voice cracked. Are you in trouble? His expression didn't change. Always. The doctor worked fast. She drifted in and out of consciousness to the rhythm of Alessandro's voice. He spoke quietly, sometimes English, sometimes Italian, steady as a heartbeat. When she woke again, she was in a clean white room, an IV in her arm, the faint hum of the city beyond sealed windows. Alessandro sat nearby, his suit jacket gone, sleeves rolled up, forearms dusted with her dried blood. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then she asked the question that had been pulsing through her foggy mind since the gunshot. Why no ambulance? Because the police would ask questions I can't answer. Because you're hiding something. He didn't deny it. Because I'm protecting you. Avery's laugh came out as a broken whisper. From what? From whoever tried to kill you? His gaze met hers, unwavering, from whoever might try again. Hours passed. The doctor left after giving Alessandro strict instructions. Avery sipped water, testing her voice. So, what now? Now you rest. Then you tell me everything you remember. I told you I didn't see who did it. Try again. His voice softened. Sometimes the mind hides details. Let's see what it gives us when it stops panicking. She closed her eyes, replaying the night. The delivery app ping, the wrong address, the silver SUV idling near the curb, and then a tattoo. Quick, sharp image, a man's hand on the doorframe, sleeve pushed back, a chess rook inked in black on the side of his wrist. Her eyes snapped open. I saw something. Alessandro leaned forward. Tell me. A tattoo, like a chess piece. A rook. For the first time since she'd met him, his calm cracked. His entire body went still. Where exactly? Left wrist. He was holding, I think, a rifle. The air in the room changed. Cold, heavy. Alessandro stood slowly, every muscle rigid. You're sure? Yes. He turned away, exhaling once through his nose, then muttered a string of Italian she didn't understand. When he faced her again, the tenderness was gone, replaced by steel. That mark belongs to a man who shouldn't be breathing in my city, he said, and now I know he's back. Avery swallowed hard. So, what does that mean? It means, Alessandro said quietly, you didn't just take a bullet for the wrong man. He met her eyes, voice a vow now, dark and dangerous. You took a bullet meant for me, and I'm going to find the bastard who fired it. The city woke her before the pain did. Avery opened her eyes to a soft gray morning and the hush of traffic far below. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed Lake Michigan like a sheet of steel. She wasn't in a clinic anymore. She lay in a wide bed with white sheets and a thin cashmere throw pulled to her ribs. Her shoulder ached, deep, sore, but not sharp. Someone had changed her into a soft cotton top that didn't touch the bandage. The door opened without a sound. Alessandro Vitale stepped in, a shadow resolving into a man in a dark sweater and slacks. Barefoot, different from last night's suit, but the same controlled energy. How do you feel? He asked. Like I got shot, she said, voice rough. Where am I? My home, he said. Streeterville. The doctor wanted someone with you for the first 24 hours. I assumed you don't live with anyone who could watch for bleeding or fever. You assumed right, she said, pushing herself up an inch. Pain tugged. She winced. You can't just bring strangers to your penthouse. You're not a stranger. He set a tray on the side table. Coffee, orange juice, toast, a porcelain bowl that smelled like tomatoes and basil. You're the woman who took a bullet that had my name on it. That doesn't make me not a stranger. She looked at the bowl. Is that soup? At 8 in the morning? Chef Lucia's tomato broth. Easier on the stomach. Pain meds can be harsh. Avery stared at him. Do you ever stop handling things? He considered it. Not often. She reached for the spoon with her right hand. He moved first, sliding the tray closer, then hesitated. May I? He asked. She blinked. May you, what? Help you sit up. I'll keep away from the shoulder. The way he waited, patient, eyes steady, made her chest loosen. She nodded. He arranged extra pillows, each motion deliberate and careful, like a man who had learned the hard way that force breaks more than it fixes. Thank you, she said. You're welcome. She tasted the broth. It was warm and clean, the kind of simple that only comes from practice. The city light brightened. A gull sliced the sky outside the glass. What happens now? She asked. Now we set rules, he said, taking the chair beside the bed. So you feel safe, and so I don't fail you. Rules, she repeated. Okay, start. Rule 1, he said. You can leave whenever you want. No pressure to stay. If you say go, I take you home. If you say stop, I stop. With anything. She lifted an eyebrow. That covers a lot. It should, he said. Rule 2. Your phone stays with you. No one reads it. Not me. Not my people. Valentina may ask to clone it once for evidence with your permission. Who's Valentina? My attorney. She will manage the legal side to keep the city from swallowing us while I deal with the men who pulled a trigger. Avery held his gaze. And Rule 3? Rule 3, he said, quieter. I protect you. That means security downstairs. A nurse on call. My cousin Marco coordinating cameras around this building and my restaurant. If that is too much, say so. I will scale it down, and we'll accept the extra risk together. She sat with that for a beat. Together? I brought you into this building. That makes you mine to protect, he said, then added, not yours to obey. Heat moved through her face. She looked out at the lake. My brother's going to call soon, she said. We talk every morning. If I don't answer, he'll panic. Ethan, he said, already knowing. How? You spoke his name in your sleep, he said, almost apologetic. I had the nurse noted in case we needed to contact next of kin. He's 19, she said. Computer smart, rent broke, thinks Chicago pizza is better than New York and will fight about it. Good, Alessandro said. A man should have convictions. She tried not to smile and failed. I don't want him dragged into this. Neither do I, he said. Eat, then tell me everything you remember. She ate. Slowly. He watched, not hovering, but present in a way that made the room feel anchored. When she set the spoon down, he leaned forward. The tattoo, he said. Describe it again. Black ink, rook chess piece, inside the left wrist, the hand braced on a doorframe. I think he was looking through a scope. He nodded once, as if checking a box. You know him, she said. I know what the mark means, he said. A man who likes to play from the corner. He does not come to River North unless he has permission or he wants to start a war. Which is it? We're going to find out. He stood. Marco is here. Valentina will join in an hour. I want to brief them with you present. This is your life now for a little while. You get a seat at the table. Avery pulled the throw higher. I'm a barista who runs delivery at night, Alessandro. I'm not built for tables like yours. He studied her. You bled and stayed conscious long enough to give me a mark that changes everything, he said. That's a table skill. The faintest quirk touched her mouth. Fine. But I'm not wearing heels. God forbid, he said, and something almost like humor moved through the air. The penthouse living area looked like a showroom until you noticed the practical additions. A small safe under the console, a first aid kit on the bar, a charger hub with every cable on earth. A stocky man in his early 30s stood by the windows, arms folded. He had a boxer's nose and watchful eyes. Marco Vitale, the man said. Cousin, security. Avery, she said. Do you prefer Collins or Avery? He asked, surprising her. Avery is fine. Copy. Valentina arrived 5 minutes later in a tailored coat and flat shoes. Brown hair pulled back, face clean, eyes that tracked everything. Ms. Collins, she said, extending a hand. Valentina Russo. Avery shook carefully. I didn't do anything illegal, she blurted. I need to say that before the lawyer part of this kicks in. Valentina's mouth tipped. I prefer clients who start from that position. They took seats. Avery on the sofa, Alessandro on the armrest beside her but not crowding, Marco on a stool, Valentina in a chair with a pad on her knees. 2 tracks, Alessandro said. 1, find the shooter and whoever sent him. 2, keep Avery and her brother invisible until track 1 is complete. I can harden the building and restaurant, Marco said. Rotate, guys. I'll pull the alley footage where she went down and the feeds from Kinsey to Orleans. If the rook crossed a camera, I'll find him. Do it, Alessandro said. Valentina tapped her pen. Ms. Collins, Avery, did your delivery app route you to Trastevere or somewhere nearby? It pinged for a pickup at Trastevere, but the order looked odd. The name on it was Rookwood? She frowned. No, that's not right. R. Wood. Something like that. The note said, call when outside. No unit number. No suite. Marco and Alessandro exchanged a look. "Did anyone contact you off app?" Valentina asked. "My phone rang once from a blocked number while I was locking the scooter," Avery said. "I didn't answer, then the shot." Valentina wrote fast. "I'll subpoena the app's route and notes. If someone used your login as a mule, we need records secured before they vanish." Avery's mouth went dry. "Mule?" "Unwitting courier," Valentina said, crisp but not unkind. "People hide things in normal transactions. If the target is Mr. Vitale, they arrange a handoff at his door. If the target is you, they make sure you show up where cameras and crossfire live." "I didn't have anything," Avery said, hearing the thin edge in her voice. "It was just a pickup." "I believe you," Valentina said. "Belief isn't evidence. We'll get both." Avery nodded, throat tight. Alessandro leaned in an inch. "Breathe." She did. Marco's phone buzzed. He stepped to the window, spoke low, returned. "Boss, CPD cruisers rolled past the alley twice in the last hour. Slow. Looking at the door." Valentina's eyes sharpened. "Someone at CPD knows something happened on Kinsey last night. That's fast." "It's too fast," Alessandro said. "Crow?" "Detective Daniel Crow has a habit of appearing early," Valentina said, "and billing overtime for it." Avery swallowed. "So the police are in this?" "Some police," Valentina corrected. "Chicago is full of decent ones. But Crow is predictable in his appetites." "You're saying corrupt," Avery said. "I try to save that word for court," Valentina said. "But yes." Avery rubbed her good hand over her face. "I make coffee and rent a room over a taqueria. I don't know how to do this part." "You don't have to," Alessandro said. "You tell me what you remember. You answer Valentina when she asks. You rest and heal. The rest is mine." She looked at him. "That's not how my life works." "Then you upgrade," he said simply. Her phone buzzed on the cushion. "Ethan." She answered fast. "Hey. Are you okay?" her brother said, voice high with panic. "You didn't text last night and then your location went weird and I'm okay," she said. "I had a small accident. I'm with a friend near the lake. I'll explain later." "What kind of accident?" "Avery, I'm fine," she lied, because telling him the truth over the phone would flip his world. "Are you home?" "Yeah." "Why?" "Double-check the deadbolt, and don't open the door for anyone who doesn't text first." Silence. Then, "Who is we? Who's there?" She glanced at Alessandro. He nodded once. "I'm with Alessandro," she said. I know who he is," Ethan said, voice dropping. "Everyone knows who he is." "He's helping," she said. "Please just stay put, okay? I'll send you a pin later." "Okay," Ethan said. "I love you." "I love you too." She hung up. The room felt smaller. "I want him moved," Alessandro said. "No," Avery said, immediate. "He's in class half the week. If he disappears from his life, people notice." "They'll notice him less than a funeral," Marco said. Avery flinched. Alessandro's jaw flexed. "We don't scare her," he said to Marco, not taking his eyes off Avery. "We give options." "Option me," Avery said, pulse in her throat. "We relocate him to a short-term rental under a different name," Alessandro said. "Same bus route, same campus. Different door. 2 of my people in the building, not glued to him, but near." "Will he know he's being watched?" "Yes," Alessandro said. "Because he'll be safer if he cooperates. And because he's your family." Avery breathed out. "He'll hate it." "He can hate me," Alessandro said. "I'm used to it." Valentina stood. "I'll start the paperwork for a rental. Marco, hardware and locks. Alessandro, you have a call in 20 with a supplier. Try to sound like a man whose week is normal." "Impossible," he said. "Do it anyway," she said, and left with a half-smile that told Avery these people had done this dance before. Marco followed, murmuring into his phone. The room quieted. Avery looked at the lake again. The water looked colder than before. "You okay?" Alessandro asked. "No," she said, "but I will be." He took that in. "Good answer." She shifted and winced. He reached out before he could stop himself. "May I?" he asked again. Pillow behind your back. Yeah, she said softly. You may. He adjusted it with careful hands, then stayed kneeling by the couch, close enough for warmth, far enough for space. The smell of his soap, clean, warm, ghosted the air. What is this for you? She asked. Another day at work? Another crisis? This is personal, he said. You bled on my floor and looked at me like you were trying not to pass out. That look, I have seen it. On soldiers. On men who were boys when they shouldn't have been. I don't forget those faces. You talk like you've carried a lot. I have, he said, most of it willingly. She stared at his hands. Are you going to kill him? If he doesn't stop breathing on his own, he said. Yes. And if I ask you not to? He didn't look away. Then I will explain why the city will be better when he's gone. And if you still ask me not to, I will wait. But I will not forget. Honesty. Not pretty, but solid. It sat between them like a shared language. Tell me about the restaurant, she said suddenly. Trastevere. He blinked, surprised by the turn. It's named for a neighborhood across the river in Rome. My mother loved it. I built the Chicago one when I was 28. Chef Lucia runs the kitchen. She throws wooden spoons at me if I get in her way. Avery smiled, small and real. I like her already. You will, he said. She sent more broth. She said you're too pale and I'm too stubborn. She doesn't even know me. She knows people, he said. It's enough. His phone buzzed on the table. He checked it, jaw tightening. What? She asked. Marco found a frame on a camera 2 blocks west, he said. Silver SUV. The driver stepped out to smoke and left a hand on the door. The tattoo's there. So now you know where he was, she said. Where he was, he repeated. Not where he is. Then you'll go, she said. Yes. And leave me here. You'll be with a nurse and 2 men in the hallway, he said. Doors locked, alarm set. My number, Marco's, Valentina's, on your phone. If anything feels wrong, you call and you shout. She stared at him. What if I don't want you to go? He didn't move for a long beat. Then I will still go, he said. Because men who shoot at my door don't stop with one night. Something in her chest pulled. She hated that it did. Then go, she said. And come back in one piece. His eyes warmed. Yes, Avery Collins. That I can promise. He rose. Paused. One more rule, he said. She lifted her chin. I thought we had 3. 4, he said. Say what you mean. I'll do the same. No guessing. She nodded. Deal. He left with a quiet click. The room held his shape after he was gone. Late morning blurred into afternoon. The nurse checked her vitals and changed the bandage, talking about nothing in particular. Avery texted Ethan memes to keep him from asking harder questions. Valentina sent a short note. Working on the rental. Send Ethan's full name and DOB. Avery sent it and pressed the phone to her chest, eyes burning. Don't cry now, she told herself. Not until he's safe. The sun slid behind a bank of clouds. The city lights clicked on early. Avery paced the living room in slow lines, then stopped because pacing pulled at the stitches. She made tea and didn't drink it. She sat, stood, sat again. The door buzzed. She startled. The nurse peered through the peephole, then opened for Chef Lucia, a sturdy woman with dark eyes and a paper bag. So thin, Lucia said at once, sweeping in. And too brave, never a good mix. Hi, Avery said. Lucia cupped Avery's cheek, soft and quick. Eat, she said, setting a small container on the counter. And if he tries to feed you steak, tell him I said soup first. You can just tell him yourself when he... The elevator chimed in the hall, voices low. The nurse checked the door, then relaxed. Marco entered, wind in his hair, a laptop under his arm. He nodded at Lucia, then at Avery. Good news, he said. We got clearer footage of the SUV. Bad news, plates are stolen. Where's Alessandro? Avery asked, trying to keep her voice even. Working, Marco said. He'll check in soon. He set the laptop on the coffee table and scrubbed back a clip. A hand, veins raised, a rook in black lines. The angle was clean enough to make her stomach roll. "That's him," she whispered. Marco glanced up at her, not missing the tremor. "We'll find him." "How do you do this all the time?" she asked. "Like this," he said, tapping the space bar. "One frame at a time, one corner at a time. We don't chase the whole city. We chase a man's habit." "What's his habit?" Avery asked. "Cameras," Marco said. "He likes corners. Corners like cameras. He's been caught before. That's why we have a rook to look for." Her phone vibrated. "Ethan." She answered on speaker. "Hey, everything okay?" she asked. "Someone jigged the handle," Ethan said. "Like, a minute ago. I heard it from the kitchen. I didn't open. They didn't knock. They just tried the handle." The room went still. Marco's eyes met hers and narrowed. "Ethan, listen carefully," Avery said, keeping her voice as level as she could. "Get your backpack. Put your laptop and chargers in it. Wallet, keys, the essentials. Don't look out the peephole. Don't touch the door. Go to your bedroom window and check the fire escape." "There's one," he said, breath tight. "Why?" "Because you're leaving in 5 minutes," she said, heart pounding. "I'm sending you an address. You go there. You don't stop. You don't talk to anyone. You call me from the sidewalk when you arrive." "What's happening?" Ethan asked, voice small now. "Nothing that touches you if you move," she said, glancing at Marco. "Ready?" Marco was already dialing. "2 cars," he told whoever answered. "Now." "Pull both doors. South route. No sirens." "Avery," Ethan whispered. "I'm here," she said. "You can do this. 3 deep breaths. In, out." He did it. She could hear it. "Good," she said. "I'm texting you the pin. Go, baby brother." The line clicked. Avery swallowed hard. Marco was moving, snapping orders, sending the nurse to the service elevator to watch for any sign of trouble. Lucia pressed a warm paper napkin into Avery's hand she didn't realize she needed. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a text from an unknown number. "We have eyes on the door. Trade the girl for the boy. Midnight. Calumet. Come alone." Avery's skin went cold. Marco read over her shoulder. The boxer's calm slid off his face, replaced by something hard. "Don't answer," he said. "Screenshot. Send to me. Then to Alessandro and Valentina." Avery did it with shaking fingers. Marco's phone rang. He listened, then looked at Avery. "He's on his way up." "Alessandro?" she asked. "Yeah," Marco said. "And he's not happy." The elevator chimed again. Footsteps. The lock turned. The door opened to Alessandro's shape, filling the frame. Wind and cold and rain-slick anger rolling in with him. He took one look at Avery's face, then at Marco, then at the text on her phone. "Who touched Ethan's door?" he asked, voice flat. "No visual," Marco said. But the pressure came with a message. Alessandro read the text. The muscle in his jaw jumped once. "Calumet at midnight," he said. "They want to trade." "You're not trading me," Avery said before the silence could eat her. "You're not." "I know," Alessandro said, eyes still on the screen. He lowered the phone, met her eyes. The steel from last night was back, colder now. "They touched your family," he said. "They think that buys leverage." "Does it?" Avery asked, throat tight. "It buys war," he said, "and we start tonight." The room held its breath. Outside, the lake went darker. Somewhere on the south side, a warehouse door would roll up at midnight, and Avery understood, with perfect clarity, that whatever rules they had set this morning were about to be tested by men who didn't believe in rules at all. The storm that had threatened the lake all afternoon finally broke after midnight. Rain lashed against the penthouse windows, thunder rolling low and steady over Chicago's skyline. Avery sat curled on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, listening to Alessandro's men murmur into radios by the door. She hadn't changed clothes since the text arrived, the one that said, "Trade the girl for the boy." Alessandro stood near the window, phone pressed to his ear, jaw locked. Marco paced behind him. Every few seconds, lightning flashed, throwing their faces into white light. "No response from the number," Marco said. "They won't text again." Alessandro replied. They wanted to scare us first. He turned toward Avery, eyes softer now. Your brother's already being moved. He's fine. Where? She asked. I can't say. The less you know, the safer you both are. I hate that sentence, Avery said. I hate living in a world where safe means not knowing anything. I hate it too, Alessandro said quietly. But right now, it's how we keep you breathing. He crossed the room, lowering himself to the coffee table in front of her. You trust me? I don't know, she said honestly, but I want to. He nodded once. Good. That's enough for now. By morning the rain had stopped, but the tension hadn't. Valentina arrived with dark circles under her eyes and a file thick enough to make Avery's stomach turn. The delivery order you accepted the night of the shooting, she began. We traced it. Avery straightened. And? It wasn't food. It was a courier task disguised as a takeout order, Valentina said. Someone used your app account to move data. A sealed envelope was logged under your pickup history, but the timestamp was deleted within minutes. I never picked up an envelope, Avery said. Just a bag from the hostess stand. Exactly, Valentina replied. That bag contained a USB drive. We think the target wasn't you or even Alessandro directly. It was information that could destroy both the Russian and police sides of this city's underworld. Avery stared. Are you saying I delivered something for the Mafia? You delivered something for someone who wanted to expose them, Alessandro corrected. And when they realized the courier had touched my doorstep, they panicked. So the shot wasn't random, Valentina said. The room tilted a little. Someone used me. Yes, Alessandro said, his voice low, and that makes them my problem. 2 hours later, Marco escorted Avery to a black SUV waiting in the private garage. Where are we going? She asked. Safe house, Marco said. South side, new locks, cameras. Nobody knows the address but me, Valentina, and the boss. Avery glanced at Alessandro. You're not coming? I have to clean this up, he said. And find the man with the rook tattoo before he finds us. You promised you wouldn't leave me. He paused, then brushed his fingers against her uninjured hand. I'm not leaving you. I'm extending the walls around you. I'll be there tonight. The SUV pulled into traffic, cutting through morning drizzle and honking cabs. Chicago looked the same, coffee shops opening, buses sighing, but Avery felt the world had split in two. The one everyone else lived in, and the one where bullets waited in shadows. The safe house was small, tucked between warehouses near Calumet River, clean but bare, white walls, minimal furniture, no photos. Marco did a quick sweep of every room, muttering into his radio. You'll have a nurse checking on you at noon, he said. I'll be outside. The boss will call at 3. Avery nodded, though her nerves hummed. Do you ever get used to this? He gave a half smile. If I ever do, shoot me. By noon, Alessandro called. How's the shoulder? Stitches are fine, she said. Nerves are not. Stay near the windows? No, she said. I learned something from you people. Corners are safer. He almost smiled through the line. Smart woman. Find anything? Maybe, he said. The name behind your delivery order, R. Wood, was used 3 times last month. All linked to shell companies laundering through a detective's account. Crow, she whispered. Yes, he confirmed. But he's not the only one. Someone higher gave the order. Someone who wanted that drive to disappear. Who? I don't know yet, he said. But whoever they are, they made a mistake using you. Because you'll kill them? Because now, Alessandro said softly, they have to face me. The line went dead. Avery exhaled. For a moment she felt safe again, until the window glass rattled. At first she thought it was thunder. Then the power cut out. Marco, she called. No answer. Her heart slammed. She moved toward the door just as it burst open. 3 men in masks flooded the room. One grabbed her wrist, another yanked the IV from her arm. Pain shot down her shoulder as she struggled, but adrenaline overrode fear. Let me go, she shouted. Quiet, one barked, voice muffled. He pressed a gun to her ribs. Avery froze. The lead man spoke into a radio. We have the girl, Before she could think, a deafening crash split the air, the front door splintering inward. Marco barreled through, gun drawn, firing twice. The man holding Avery went down instantly. She ducked as another bullet whizzed past her ear. "Down!" Marco shouted. He dragged her behind the kitchen counter, returning fire. The attackers retreated toward the back exit. One turned, mask slipping for half a second, and Avery saw it, the black rook tattoo on his wrist. Her blood ran cold. "Marco!" she gasped. "It's him!" He spun, firing at the fleeing shadow. The man dove through the side door and vanished into the rain. Silence slammed down, broken only by the ringing in her ears. "You okay?" Marco asked, checking her quickly. She nodded shakily. "He was here. The one who shot me." Marco grabbed his radio. "Boss, safe house compromised. Rook was on site. He's gone." A crackle, then Alessandro's voice, sharp as a blade. "Get her out, now!" They reached the car 5 minutes later, engines roaring, tires slicing wet asphalt. Avery stared out the window, heart hammering. He knew where we were. How? "Leak," Marco said grimly. "Has to be. Inside your crew? Could be anyone with access to the property records. City clerk, maybe. Valentina will trace it." Avery looked at him. "You've done this before." "Too many times." He drove fast, weaving through traffic. "Boss is meeting us at the backup house near Bridgeport. We'll debrief there." She pressed her hand against her shoulder wound. "He's not going to let this go, is he?" "No," Marco said. "He takes things personal." The Bridgeport house was warmer, quieter, hidden behind tall hedges. Alessandro was waiting inside. The moment Avery stepped through the door, he pulled her into his arms without a word. She froze for half a heartbeat, then let herself lean against him. "I told you I'd be there tonight," he murmured. "Sorry I'm late." Her voice trembled. "He was there, Alessandro. The man with the tattoo. He looked right at me." His body went rigid. "Did he say anything?" "No. Just smiled. That was worse than a threat." He drew back enough to look at her. "You did good. You stayed alive. That's what matters." Her eyes burned. "How do you live like this?" He exhaled. "You stop calling it living. You call it surviving." An hour later, Valentina arrived with new intel. She spread papers on the dining table, pointing to a printed email header. "This," she said, "came from a city permit clerk. Routine property logs, but they include the safe house's coordinates. She accessed them 30 minutes before the attack. Guess who she's dating?" "Crow," Alessandro said. Valentina nodded. "They're the leak." "Then we close it," Alessandro said. "Not yet," Valentina cautioned. "We trace who told her to look. She's small time." The order came from above. Alessandro's jaw tightened. "And in the meantime?" "In the meantime," Valentina said, glancing at Avery, "you keep your people breathing." That night, Avery found Alessandro in the kitchen, staring at a map pinned to the wall. "You're going after him, aren't you?" she asked. "I have to." "Then take me." He turned, startled. "No." I saw his face. "You need me. I need you safe. I'm tired of being safe while everyone else bleeds for me," she said, voice rising. "I can help." He stepped closer, eyes dark. "You've already helped enough. You gave me a mark, a name, a reason. That's more than most people ever do. And if that's not enough for me, then," he said, brushing a loose strand of hair from her cheek, "you'll have to forgive me for wanting to keep you alive." The silence between them crackled, too heavy, too close. Avery swallowed. "Why does it sound like you've already decided what happens to me?" "Because I have," he said softly. "You stay here. I handle this. End of discussion." "God, you're impossible. And you're stubborn," he said, almost smiling. "I learned from the best." As he turned to leave, she caught his wrist, just long enough to make him pause. "Don't do anything stupid," she whispered. He leaned down until their faces were inches apart. "In my world, that's the only thing that ever works." Then he was gone, the door closing behind him with a sound that felt too final. Avery stood there in the quiet house, her pulse racing, the echo of his words hanging in the air. Outside, the city lights flickered against low clouds. Somewhere across town, a man with a rook tattoo was planning his next move, and Avery knew deep down that this wasn't over. If anything, it was only the beginning. The rain had stopped, but the city hadn't slept. From the window of the Bridgeport house, Avery watched dawn rise over Chicago in shades of iron and smoke. The street was empty except for a stray dog and a trash truck rumbling past. Inside, the air felt heavier than it had the night before. Alessandro hadn't come back. Marco was in the living room, Field stripping his weapon with methodical calm. The faint metallic clicks made Avery's nerves buzz. "Do you ever stop?" she asked. He looked up. "You learn not to. The second you relax, somebody else doesn't." "Comforting." He smirked faintly. "You'll get used to it." "I really hope not." Before he could answer, a knock came. 3 short raps, 1 long. Marco's head lifted. He checked the camera feed, then opened the door. Valentina swept in, coffee in hand, coat still damp from drizzle. "He's on his way," she said. "Alessandro?" Avery asked. Valentina nodded. "And he's bringing someone you're not going to like." 10 minutes later, the door opened again, and Alessandro entered with a man bound and gagged between 2 guards. Avery's stomach turned. The prisoner's eyes were wild, his cheek already bruised. One of the guards shoved him into a chair. Alessandro followed, silent, deadly calm. "Who is that?" Avery asked. "The leak," Valentina said. "A city clerk named Jenna Porter. She handled property permits for the safe houses. She gave the address to someone she thought was a detective." "She's a woman," Avery said softly. "She looks terrified." "She should be," Alessandro said, voice quiet but sharp. "She thought she was helping the police," Valentina added, flipping open a folder. "Detective Crow told her we were harboring fugitives. She didn't know she was handing your location to a hit team." "Then she's not the enemy," Avery said. "She is if she keeps breathing and calling her boyfriend," Marco muttered. Avery turned on him. "You can't just—" "Enough." Alessandro's voice cut through the tension. "Nobody dies unless I say so." He crouched in front of the woman, pulling the gag down. "Who told you to look up those addresses?" She trembled. "He said it was official. That there was a warrant." "Names?" Alessandro interrupted. "Detective Daniel Crow," she said quickly. "He said he'd lose his badge if I didn't help. I didn't know it was for me." Alessandro finished. "Of course not." He stood, motioning to Marco. "Take her to Valentina's office. No police, no press. Keep her breathing until we know everything." When the door shut behind them, Avery exhaled hard. "You scared her. I needed her to talk. You didn't need to look at her like that." He faced her fully. "Avery, that woman gave the order that got you shot and your brother nearly kidnapped. You think I owe her kindness? I think you owe her humanity." For a moment, they stared at each other, 2 worlds colliding in silence. Then Alessandro sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "You're right. But in my world, humanity gets people killed." An hour later, Marco returned with an update. "She gave us Crow's burner numbers," he said. "Valentina's tracing the calls. The last ping came from the old rail yards by South Ashland." "Orlov's territory," Alessandro muttered. "He's protecting Crow." "What about Ethan?" Avery asked. "Still safe," Marco said. "Valentina's team confirmed he checked into class this morning under the alias we gave him. He's being shadowed discreetly." Avery sagged with relief. "Good." But Alessandro's expression didn't ease. "The Russians won't stop, not until they erase every witness. That includes you. So what's the plan?" He turned to her. "We set a trap." She blinked. "You mean, use me?" "Use your delivery profile," he corrected. "They used it once to move a package. Let's give them a second chance. A decoy." "No," she said immediately. "Absolutely not. You'll be protected. It'll look real." "I'm not bait." He took a step closer, voice low. "You already were. At least this time you'll know it." Avery's heart raced. "You can't ask me to do that." "I'm not asking," he said softly. I'm telling you how we end this." The room went quiet. Then, after a long breath, she said, "If I say yes, it's because I want to, not because you ordered me." His gaze softened. "Agreed." That night, the decoy plan took shape. Valentina arranged the digital trail, Marco assembled a small team, and Alessandro mapped exits on a whiteboard like a general preparing for war. Avery watched, wrapped in a sweatshirt that wasn't hers, trying to focus on the plan instead of the pounding in her chest. "We leak a fake order," Valentina explained. "Same courier profile, same pattern. The pickup will show as a downtown sushi restaurant. Our target intercepts the call. He sends his men. We'll trace the signal back to Crow's burner." "And me?" Avery asked. "You'll be at a secondary location," Alessandro said. "Far from the scene, watching the feed." "Then why do I need to agree to anything?" "Because they'll believe it's real only if your profile is active," Valentina said. "Your name has to appear in the log." Avery hesitated, then nodded. "Fine, do it." Alessandro's eyes met hers. "Thank you." "Don't thank me," she said. "Just don't get killed." The operation started at 10 p.m. sharp. Marco and Valentina monitored from a van 2 blocks away, while Alessandro stood in an alley opposite the sushi place, hidden in shadow. Avery sat inside the van, headset on, watching live feeds. The first hour passed with nothing. Then a black SUV appeared on camera, no plates, tinted windows. "Target vehicle confirmed," Marco said. "Driver stepping out." A figure emerged, tall, heavy-set, familiar posture. Avery's pulse spiked. "That's him." "The rook tattoo, left wrist." "Copy," Valentina said. Recording started. The man reached the door of the restaurant, looked around once, then pulled out a phone. "He's calling," Marco muttered. "Tracing." Valentina's fingers flew over the keyboard. "Got it, pinging near South Ashland again. Same tower cluster as Crow's last signal." Alessandro's voice crackled through the radio. "Good. Stay on him." The man lingered another minute, then turned back toward the SUV. "Wait," Avery said suddenly. "Someone's in the back seat." Valentina zoomed in. A silhouette shifted. Female, maybe mid-20s. Avery's stomach dropped. "Oh my God, it's Jenna, the clerk." Marco swore. "How the hell?" "She must have called him after we let her go," Valentina realized. "She warned him." "Son of a—" Alessandro's voice cut out as the sound of a gunshot blasted through the feed. "Alessandro!" Avery shouted. Static. Then a crash. The camera outside the restaurant shook as the SUV door flew open and the rook-marked shooter fired toward the alley. "Boss is hit!" Marco yelled, already bolting out the van. "No!" Avery ripped off the headset and ran after him. By the time she reached the alley, chaos reigned. The SUV screeched away, tires screaming on wet pavement. Marco crouched beside Alessandro, blood streaking his sleeve. "Shoulder graze," Marco said quickly. "He's fine." Avery dropped to her knees beside him. "You said I'd be safe." "I am safe," Alessandro muttered, grimacing. "You're the one running into gunfire." Tears blurred her vision. "You idiot." He managed a faint smile. "I told you not to fall for me." "Too late," she whispered before she could stop herself. His hand tightened around hers, grounding her even as sirens wailed in the distance. Marco looked up. "We have a problem. Jenna's dead in the SUV. Single shot to the head. Crow won't risk her talking again." Valentina's voice crackled in overcoms. "Trace is live. We have the location. Warehouse on Canal and 26th. You want to move now?" Alessandro pushed himself upright with a grunt. "We move now." An hour later, the Bridgeport house was silent again. Avery sat on the couch, Alessandro's blood still drying on her hands. He came out of the bathroom shirtless, the wound bandaged. "Before you say it," he began. "Yes, it looks worse than it is." "You almost died," she said. "Again." "I'm hard to kill." "That's not the compliment you think it is." He sat beside her, wincing slightly. "You shouldn't have followed me. You shouldn't have left me." He looked at her then, really looked, and the distance between them shrank. "You keep doing that," he murmured. "Doing what?" getting in the way of the things I swore I'd never feel again. Her pulse skipped. Maybe you should stop fighting them. I can't. Yes, you can, she said softly. Just for tonight. He exhaled, defeated. Avery! She leaned in before he could finish. The kiss started tentative, then deepened, slow and electric, like the city holding its breath. When they finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. This changes everything. I know. Tomorrow, he said, we go after Crow. And when it's over, she said, we see if we still want the same thing. He nodded. Deal. At 3 a.m., Marco's voice came over the comm. Crow's moving. Warehouse confirmed. He's not alone. 6 men, maybe more. Looks like he's burning evidence. Alessandro stood, reaching for his jacket. Then we stop him before he disappears. I'm going with you, Avery said. No. Don't bother arguing. You already know I won't listen. He turned slowly, eyes hard but full of something else. Fear. You stay behind me at all times. Understood? Yes. They left minutes later, slipping into the night with Marco behind the wheel. The city blurred past, silent and wet. Avery's pulse hammered with every passing streetlight. As they turned onto Canal, she caught Alessandro's reflection in the window, jaw set, eyes cold, a man walking into his own war. She reached across the seat and took his hand. He didn't pull away. You'll come back, she said quietly. I don't plan on dying, he replied. But plans don't always matter. Then promise me anyway. He looked at her for a long moment. I promise. Outside, the abandoned warehouse loomed, its windows black as the river beside it. Marco killed the lights. Positions, he whispered. Alessandro squeezed her hand once. Stay low. Then he stepped out into the darkness. Inside, the echo of footsteps faded into silence. Avery crouched behind a stack of crates, gunfire suddenly lighting the far side of the building. She bit her lip to keep from crying out. Voices shouted, then one, unmistakable, deep and mocking. Crow. Avery froze, every nerve burning. She could hear Alessandro's voice now, lower but deadly calm. You should have stayed on your side of the line, detective. Funny thing about lines, Crow sneered. They move when money talks. A shot rang out, then another. Avery squeezed her eyes shut. When she opened them, the warehouse was quiet again. And in the silence, one question screamed inside her. Who's still standing? The gunfire stopped as suddenly as it began. Avery's breath came shallow against the dust. The echo of the last shot ricocheted around the cavernous warehouse and died. For a heartbeat, there was only the hiss of rain leaking through the broken roof. Then footsteps, one slow, deliberate set, crossed the concrete. Alessandro, she whispered. Stay there. His voice answered, hoarse but alive. She rose halfway from behind the crate. Through the thin fog of gunpowder she saw him, shoulders squared, weapon lowered, a dark smear of blood on his arm. At his feet lay another man, Detective Daniel Crow. The once pristine suit was ripped, one sleeve soaked crimson. His gun had skittered several feet away. He coughed, a wet sound, and tried to sit up. You think you win, Crow rasped. I don't need to win, Alessandro said. I just need you to stop breathing long enough to tell me who you work for. Crow laughed weakly. Everyone. That's the beauty of Chicago, Vitale. Loyalties for sale in every district. Alessandro aimed again. Names. Crow's head lolled back. You'll never clean that name of yours. Your father made sure of it. Avery stepped closer before she realized she'd moved. What does that mean? Crow's eyes flicked toward her. Recognition sparked. The courier, he said, smiling through the blood. The little delivery girl who started a war. Answer her, Alessandro growled. Crow's smirk widened. You want the truth? Fine. Your father's shell company, Vitale Holdings legacy. I used it. The Russians paid me too. You've been laundering their money for years without knowing it." The words hit like a physical blow. Alessandro froze. "You're lying," he said flatly. "Check the ledgers," Crow wheezed. "Your accountant sold the passwords months ago. You're the perfect scapegoat, a mobster pretending to be legitimate." Alessandro's finger tightened on the trigger. "Don't," Avery said sharply. "He wants you to pull that trigger." Crow smiled, teeth red. "She's right. You kill me, the narrative's complete. Dirty Sicilian boss eliminates heroic cop. Headline writes itself." For a long second, the only sound was rain ticking against metal. Then Alessandro stepped back, holstering his gun. "You'll live," he said, "but you'll wish you hadn't." He motioned to Marco, who dragged Crow to his feet. "Get him in the car. Valentina will want every password before sunrise." Marco shoved the detective toward the exit. Alessandro turned to Avery. His eyes were darker than she'd ever seen them. "Let's go." The ride back was silent. Avery sat beside him in the back seat, watching the city smear past in streaks of gray. He hadn't spoken since they left the warehouse. Finally, she said, "He said your father?" "I heard him. Do you think it's true?" He exhaled through his nose. "My father was many things. I wouldn't put it past him." "Then we find proof," she said. "Real proof, not his word." He looked at her, something unreadable behind his eyes. "You still think I'm innocent?" "I think you're the man who carried me out of a gunfight instead of running," she said. "That's enough for now." His mouth softened. "You shouldn't believe in men like me." "Too late for that," she whispered. By morning, Valentina had turned her office into a war room. Spreadsheets, bank statements, flash drives, all marked with the name Vitale Holdings, Legacy. Avery stood beside her, trying to follow the lines of numbers. "It's real," Valentina said finally. Crow wasn't bluffing. The shell's been active for years. But it's not Alessandro's doing. The signature on these transfers belongs to his father's old accountant, Enzo Capi. "Where is he now?" Avery asked. "Retired. Lake Geneva, Wisconsin." She glanced up. "Or so the records say." Alessandro came in then, buttoning his shirt over the fresh bandage. "We go there today." Valentina frowned. "You should rest." "I'll rest when my name isn't the headline on tomorrow's paper." 2 hours later, they were on the road, northbound on I-94. The city shrank behind them, replaced by long stretches of highway and the gray expanse of lake to the east. Marco drove. Valentina worked her tablet in the front seat. Avery sat beside Alessandro in the back, the hum of the tires steadying her nerves. "You okay?" she asked. "I've been better." She reached over, fingers brushing his. "You'll fix it." He looked at her hand for a long second before lacing his fingers through hers. "If I don't, you will." He smiled faintly. "You're bossier than I thought." "You like that," she said. He didn't deny it. Lake Geneva looked deceptively peaceful, all manicured lawns and quiet docks. Cappy's house sat at the edge of the water, glass and stone, too expensive for a retired accountant. Marco scanned the yard with binoculars. Security cameras. New. He's expecting company. Alessandro checked his gun. Then we won't disappoint him. They approached through the side garden. Valentina hacked the gate lock. Alessandro kicked the door open. Inside, the smell of bleach hit first. Then the sight. The house was spotless, staged, except for one thing. A man slumped at the desk, a neat bullet hole in his chest. Valentina cursed under her breath. Someone got here first. On the desk sat an open laptop. The screen displayed a single folder. Legacy Transfer Backup. Avery stepped forward. "It's still logged in." "Copy it," Alessandro ordered. "Everything." Valentina plugged in a drive, fingers flying. "Got it." Marco checked the hallway. "We need to move. Whoever did this could still be close." They left fast, the laptop bag tucked under Valentina's arm. As they reached the car, a single shot cracked from the woods. Marco spun, firing back. "Go!" Alessandro barked. The SUV fishtailed onto the road, gravel spraying. Another bullet shattered the rear window. Avery ducked, heart pounding. "Who was that?" Rook, Alessandro said grimly. He's cleaning up witnesses. Back in Chicago that night, Valentina decrypted the drive. The files were dense. Transaction ledgers, correspondence, coded notes. Here, she said, enlarging one email. Payment receipts from a Russian holding company wired to an account labeled Vitale Holdings Legacy. But the signature block reads, D. Crow, Internal Affairs Liaison. Avery frowned. He's the one laundering through it, not you. Exactly, Valentina said. He used the Vitale name as cover. If the feds looked, they'd think it was Alessandro's operation. Alessandro leaned over the screen. Can you prove it? Yes, but we'll need to go public. He hesitated. That means exposing everything, even the restaurants, even me. It also means clearing your name, Avery said. You can build something new after. Clean. He looked at her quiet for a long time. And what about you? You still want a future with a man the city calls a criminal? She stepped closer. I don't care what they call you. I care who you are when no one's looking. For the first time in days, his shoulders eased. At midnight, Valentina launched the files to a secure federal contact. Within an hour, Crow's name was trending on every Chicago feed. Detective under investigation for corruption and ties to Russian syndicate. Avery stared at the screen. It's over. Alessandro shook his head. No. Crow won't go quietly. As if on cue, Marco's phone buzzed. He listened, then looked up sharply. Warehouse fire on Canal. That's where we left the bodies. Evidence cleanup, Alessandro said. He's burning what's left. And what about Rook? Avery asked. He'll be there, Alessandro said. He always finishes the job himself. Valentina looked at him. You're not going alone. I'm not asking permission, he said. But I need one thing from you, Avery. What? If I don't come back, you leave this city. Tonight. She shook her head violently. No. Promise me. I can't. He reached up, touching her cheek. Then I'll just have to make sure I do come back. The Canal District was a maze of smoke and firelight. Avery refused to stay behind. She slipped out of the car as soon as Marco parked 2 blocks away. The warehouse roof had collapsed, but one figure still moved among the flames, the man with the Rook tattoo, gun glinting under orange light. Alessandro stepped from the shadows, gun drawn. You missed your chance. Rook turned, smiling through soot. Not yet. The 2 men circled each other, heat shimmering between them. Then, without warning, Rook lunged. The fight was brutal, close, desperate. Fists, knees, metal clanging against concrete. Avery moved before she could think, grabbing a fallen pipe and hurling it toward Rook's leg. It hit, buying Alessandro the half-second he needed. He twisted, disarmed the man, and fired once. Rook hit the ground, tattoo catching the firelight one last time before he went still. For a moment, no one moved. Then Alessandro turned toward her, chest heaving. I told you to stay back. You're welcome, she said, trembling. He laughed once, half pain, half relief. Remind me never to underestimate you again. They walked out together as fire trucks wailed in the distance. The flames behind them roared like an ending. It's really over now, Avery said quietly. Almost, Alessandro replied. Crow still breathes. He'll be arrested. He'll try to run. Then what? Then, Alessandro said, sliding an arm around her shoulders, we stop running too. By sunrise, federal agents had Crow in custody. Valentina called with the news while Avery stood on the balcony of the penthouse, the city glowing pink below. He's done, Valentina said. The files, the footage, the recordings, it's airtight. Avery looked at Alessandro across the balcony, coffee cup in his hand, eyes finally at peace. So what happens now? Valentina hesitated. He's free to choose what kind of man he wants to be next. Avery hung up and crossed to him. He set the cup down and reached for her waist, drawing her close. It's over, she whispered. He shook his head slightly. No, it's beginning. She smiled. Then tell me, what do we call this beginning? Whatever you want, he said, just as long as you're in it. And for the first time since that bullet tore her life apart, Avery believed it could really be true. The news broke before sunrise. Detective Daniel Crow arrested in corruption scandal. The words scrolled across every Chicago station, replayed on radios, lit up every phone screen. From the balcony of the penthouse, Alessandro Vitale watched his city wake to chaos. The skyline shimmered against the lake, beautiful and brutal. He'd spent his whole life trying to control this city, and now, for the first time, it felt like he could finally breathe in it. Behind him, Avery padded out barefoot, still wearing his shirt from the night before. "You didn't sleep," she said softly. He smiled faintly. "Couldn't. Too quiet. I kept waiting for the next explosion. Maybe it's over." "Maybe," he said. "But endings like ours never stay quiet for long." She stepped beside him, resting her hand on the cold railing. "So what now?" He turned toward her. "Now, I decide what kind of man I want to be when nobody's shooting at me." Downstairs, Valentina waited with a thick envelope. "The feds want a statement," she said. "They'll clear you publicly, but they'll want the full story. Names, dates, details. And if I refuse, they'll assume guilt by silence." Avery watched him. "Tell them the truth. For your name. For your brothers." At the mention of Leo, his jaw tightened. "My father would call that betrayal." "Your father's dead," she said gently. "He doesn't get to decide who you are anymore." Alessandro looked at her for a long moment, then nodded once. "Prepare it." The federal hearing was closed to the public. Avery sat in the back, hands clasped in her lap, as Alessandro gave his testimony under oath. He didn't flinch when he admitted the truth, that the Vitale family had built its empire on violence, that he had inherited blood on his hands long before he took his first breath. But he also spoke of change, of legitimate businesses, of turning power into protection. "I'm not here to ask forgiveness," he said. "I'm here to prove that the Vitale name can mean something other than fear." When it ended, the room was silent. Then the lead investigator, a woman with silver hair and tired eyes, leaned forward. "Mr. Vitale," she said, "what makes you think anyone will believe you've changed?" He glanced toward Avery, who met his gaze steadily. "Because she did," he said simply. The investigator said nothing for a long moment, then closed her file. "We'll be in touch." Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed like gunfire. Reporters shouted questions, microphones shoved forward. "Mr. Vitale, are you walking away from the family business? Is it true you were laundering money for the Russians? Who's the woman with you?" Alessandro ignored them all, his hand tightening around Avery's as they pushed through the crowd toward the waiting car. Inside, she exhaled shakily. "That was insane," he chuckled. "Welcome to my version of normal. Do you think they'll believe you?" "I don't know," he said, "but for the first time I don't care." She smiled faintly. "That's new." He looked at her. "So is this." That night, the penthouse felt different. No guards at the doors, no constant hum of radios, just the two of them, the city glittering below. Avery sat on the couch, scrolling through articles. "They're already changing the headlines," she said. "You're being called a whistleblower now." He raised an eyebrow. "That's generous." "You deserve it." He crossed the room, taking the tablet from her hand. "You deserve better than this world." "I chose this world," she said softly. "I chose you." He sank onto the couch beside her. "You could still walk away. No debts. No danger. Start over." "I already did," she said. "The night I got shot. Everything before that ended." He looked at her, something raw in his expression. "You really don't scare easy, do you?" "I'm terrified," she admitted. "Every day. But I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you." He leaned in, forehead against hers. "You have no idea what that means to me." "Then show me," she whispered. The kiss was slow this time, unhurried, the kind that didn't ask for forgiveness or promise forever. It just existed, real and certain. 2 weeks later, Alessandro stood on the cracked steps of his father's old mansion on the outskirts of the city. The house was empty now, furniture draped in sheets, air thick with dust. Avery followed him inside. "I haven't been here in 10 years, he said quietly. She looked around at the faded portraits, the scent of old wood and memory. What happened here? My father built everything from this house, he said. Every deal, every threat, every lie. I thought if I burned it down, I could start over, but maybe I just needed to face it. He walked to the study, where a massive portrait of his father still hung. He used to tell me the family name was a crown, but it was a chain. Avery stood beside him. So break it. He hesitated only a second before reaching up and pulling the painting from the wall. It crashed to the floor, the glass shattering like the end of something ancient. Done, he said softly. She smiled. How does it feel? Like breathing. Later that night, back at the penthouse, Marco poured whiskey for everyone. Valentina leaned against the counter, scrolling through her phone. Crow's officially in prison, she said. 20 years without parole. Good, Alessandro said. He gets to live with his choices. That's punishment enough. Marco smirked. Boss going soft? Alessandro looked at Avery across the room. No, just smarter. Valentina clinked her glass against his. To new beginnings. To better endings, Avery added. They drank. Sometime after midnight, Avery found Alessandro out on the balcony again, wind stirring his hair. You keep coming out here, she said. Old habits. I used to look for threats. Now I just look. She joined him, resting her chin on his shoulder. See anything worth keeping? He turned his head slightly, eyes on her. Everything worth keeping is already inside. She smiled. You know, you're getting dangerously good at this romance thing. He chuckled. Don't tell anyone. I have a reputation to ruin. Weeks passed. The headlines faded. The restaurant reopened under a new name, Leone, after his brother. Avery took over the business side, balancing books instead of deliveries. Customers came for the food but stayed for the warmth. The rumors about the Vitali name began to change, whispered in tones of curiosity instead of fear. One night, as they closed up, a teenage delivery boy dropped off a late order and smiled shyly at Avery. My mom told me to tell you thanks, he said. You got me this job. Said you used to deliver too. Avery laughed. I did. Just make sure you always lock your scooter. He grinned and ran off. Alessandro watched from the doorway, pride softening his features. You really are changing the story. So are you, she said, one plate of pasta at a time. Months later, under a spring sky that smelled like rain and promise, Alessandro drove her north, back to Lake Michigan's shore. The sun was setting, pink bleeding into gold. He parked near the water and pulled something from his coat pocket, a small box, velvet and familiar. Avery's breath caught. You're serious. I've never been more. He opened it, not a diamond this time, but a silver band engraved with 2 words, Vivere Libero. She smiled, tears welling. Live free? He nodded. Not Vitale, not Mafia. Just us. She took the ring, slipped it on, and whispered, Then let's live. He pulled her close, his voice low against her hair. You saved my life that night without knowing it. I'm just trying to return the favor. They stood there, the lake calm, the city lights a distant glow behind them. The man who once ruled Chicago's underworld and the woman who stumbled bleeding into his restaurant. Now just 2 people who'd fought their way back to peace. For the first time, the past didn't feel like a curse. It felt like proof they'd survived it. And as the wind lifted her hair and his arm tightened around her, Alessandro Vitale finally smiled without pain. Home, he said. Avery looked up at him. Finally. Because sometimes love doesn't just heal the wounds. It rewrites the legacy. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.